Hello, this is the Kerbal King here, and welcome back to How Not to Kill Your Kerbals, Episode 5. Today we'll be launching an orbiter and lander to Duna. So, this is our rocket. It is a Bobcat on the bottom, which is sort of like the first stage engine on the Titan II. Some fuel tanks, interior with an engine plate, another tank, the fairing, payload adapter that isn't super needed. It just A, looked good, and B, allowed me to make the fairing not look stupid around the dish. And then here we have the dish, a scanner, and over here is a little probe. So if I can take it off and then stick it on the bottom. And then you hit 2, it goes to move mode and hit shift. You hit shift. If I actually click on the probe, hit shift, I can move it like as far as I want. So yeah, that's our probe. We have solar panels, a little RCS jet, and RCS tanks, a couple of drogue chutes, batteries, heat shield, which I have taken almost all the ablator off of because it's not really going to need much, and an antenna. And on the satellite, of course, the dish, the decoupler, some solar panels, and then I have the spark engine. And if I take the plates off, you'll see there are batteries. There's 4 batteries on the plates, and then the fuel tanks, the engine, probe core, and reaction wheel. So yeah, let's launch. Now, because we are going to Duna, I've installed a mod, Kerbal Alarm Clock. It's really helpful if you're trying to do multiple missions and not do an entire mission at once. So if you can go leave it and not forget about it. What it also does is adds transfer windows. So if we hit add and then go over here to transfer window, we can go from the parent, which should be the sun, because that's what we're around, going from Kerbin to Duna and hit add. We'll see it's 176 days until the Duna window. So we're going to have to time warp that, and then we can go to the launch pad. Okay, so after time warping through that, we have an hour until the window, so we can go to our launch pad, which is another way to launch crafts. There are 2 versions for some reason. They both have the same stats, so it doesn't really matter. And we'll hit launch. Okay, so here we are ready for launch. Another mod I've installed is Gravity Turn, which automates the launches to make it a lot more efficient. So we can hit improve guess to improve the guess. Basically what we do is you launch it up until it gets out of the atmosphere and then revert to launch and hit improve guess. I've already done that multiple times in testing, and normally auto stage is turned on, but I've turned it off because it's been having issues with popping the fairings too early. So we can just hit launch. It's starting its gravity turn. So here we have when it starts the turn, the angle that it turns, some hold times and sensitivity. We have our destination height, which is 80. I'm going to set that to 100. Then you hit question mark, it shows you all the things. I don't know exactly what all the locks are. It's throttling down because it thinks it needs to throttle down. And now we're getting ready to separate the first stage, and it will burn out and separate by first stage. It's pitching up because the thrust to weight ratio on the stage is not super good. Kind of separate the fairings. Have them in clamshell mode because that's a lot more realistic and looks better than the confetti that they normally are. And what's cool about the mod gravity turn is that it uses the game physics to calculate the trajectory, unlike other mods like MechJeb that just try to follow a predetermined path that is not always the most effective, and it's fairly simplistic. And there we go, gravity turn has finished, 100 kilometers by 72. It's a good orbit. We could circularize it further if we wanted to, but I don't know if we actually have to. Now, plot Duna. If we scroll all the way out, we can select Duna as our target. And then we have to eject out of Kerbin in a way that we push our orbit faster. So we'll go up about here and scroll out. And let's see what we get. Should be pretty easy to get an encounter because we're fairly close to the window. We might have to adjust the timing a little bit. And there we go, we've got an encounter. It's a 95-second burn, so we'll start at about 47 seconds. For now, we can just, if you go back to the map, and you click on a maneuver path, you click on your thing, you click ahead of the maneuver, you hit warp to next maneuver, and we can time warp. Oops, and I hit cancel. And it should also, we can then see our Kerbal alarm clock what the different things going on. If it's like a career mode complicated thing, you'd have a lot of different missions going. SAS on, point at the node, and we can burn. Okay, just finishing up the burn. Throttling down with control, and when it gets to 0, we'll hit X. And then, yeah, perfect. See how we did. Not quite an encounter yet, but it should be good enough. Let's deploy the satellite and set up action groups, so, or I didn't. So we can just extend the solar panels. And yeah, just warp. Once we get out of Kerbin SOI, oh, it's going to try. Another cool thing, it slows us down when there's an alarm coming. So we can just cancel that because we're already basically to Duna. Let's plan a maneuver. Try to get an encounter. There we go. If we right click on Duna, we can try to look at our Duna periapsis and get that smaller. Oops, or not. So yeah, it looks at it's about what we're going to be able to get with that first maneuver. If you add, it should basically default to what the thing you're going to have is. So then there, and then if we just time warp really fast, it should slow us down when we get close. So there we go. Don't need that alarm anymore. And yeah, what I'm going to do for this burn is thrust limit the engine way down. We'll go to the map. And then we'll just tell it to point prograde. And throttle up just so slightly until we get encounter. Okay, there we go. That's the lowest periapsis we have. And then here we can probably plan another maneuver at our ascending node or descending node to correct our inclination and get an even better encounter. Our inclination difference is not that bad, but it's still slight. Actually, where's our other? It's probably actually more efficient to go at our... Or not. I was going to say, normally it's more efficient to go at your higher ascending or descending node, but that's after our encounter. So we can just warp here. Where we don't even really need a maneuver. We can just warp here. Maybe we should be able to go normal. And that should increase our periapsis. Or decrease our periapsis, which is what we want. Another thing we can go do is unthrust limit the engine. Or not thrust limit it as much. Oops, and we went over a little bit, so we can just hit anti-normal and correct. Oops, or not. Yes, we will correct that when we get closer. Okay, so I've planned another course correction. It's in 6 days because it's easier to correct your course the further out you are. Although each little burn is it's less precise because you have to be extremely precise because the smallest amount you change your orbit so far away is a drastic change when you get to Duna. So yeah, we can add another alarm for this node and just warp. Okay, so we are at our node and close that alarm. Warp up a little bit further. And point at the maneuver. And we can go. I've thrust limited the engine again to make it more precise. You can see we're coming in over here. And there we go. 76 kilometers, pretty good. Now let's plot a capture burn. We have 811 meters per second. So there we go. Pretty good. Can add this maneuver and warp. So here we are approaching Duna. And now we can just point at the maneuver and unthrust limit the engine. It's going to say 17 minutes for just a quick little tap of the throttle changes that. So 3 minutes will burn 1.5 minutes before. And yay, we have no probe control, so looks like we won't be burning now. Let's just warp until we get a signal back, because we are currently behind. Kerbal is behind Duna. So it's a point retrograde. Oh, and we have a signal back, so let's burn. And we've made it into an orbit. Perfect. Warp up to apoapsis and decouple the probe that we have. A little landing probe. There we go, with Duna and Ike in the background, we can decouple our probe. And let's see now. We have barely any more delta V. Let's see if we can try to raise the inclination of our orbit at all. We have inclination here. Okay. We tried a little bit. Let's go and switch back to our little probe. You have to point retrograde, turn on RCS, and then use the H key to thrust forward. And there we go. We're going to re-enter. Now let's first off arm the parachutes in case we don't have signal until it's point prograde, so that we go heat shield first. We're probably going to lose signal unless we get relayed by the other probe we have, which we might actually. If we go retrograde more, we could also land earlier. But we'll see. We're going to be landing in the dark, but there's not much we can do about that. Prograde. The atmosphere starts at 50 kilometers. And we're not going to ablate much, because this is very light and not coming in from super high up. We have entered the atmosphere. It's time to warp a little bit until we get some heating effects. There we go, getting some heating effects. Let's go to surface. And we have a lost signal. Let's see, is this a plasma blackout or... Okay, so I can't do anything. Oh, there we go. We've gotten signal back. Let's jettison the heat shield. And it's going to come slam right back on us, but whatever. Once our parachutes deploy, we should be fine. Okay, just not just. So one of the chutes has decided to deploy. There we go. We can time warp down at 2,500 meters. It will full deploy and should drop that heat shield away. There we go. Let's see how our communication situation looks. Hopefully we get down before we lose communication. There goes the heat shield. And then we'll flip around, retrograde again. And can use the fuel we have to slow our descent. Just trying to keep it relatively slow. There we come, coming in for our final approach. There we go. And we should have enough reaction wheel power just to flip ourselves back over. It's crazy how powerful these reaction wheels are. There we go. We can deploy the antenna. Let's just warp around for till day. There we go. Get a screenshot. And now we can go back. To our... Okay. It must have gotten flung into an orbit like this by Ike. I don't know. This seems odd. My bet would be Ike had something to do with this. Yep. Oh, look. Ike is going to keep bringing our orbit down, which is nice. So that is perfect. Let's see, can we get... Yep, that's about how much fuel we have. So at least it is a polar orbit. And where is Duna? There we go. And we can deploy the scanner. And there we go. There we go. And with that, I'd like to say thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and have a nice day.